Hello and welcome to Anfield Voices. It is nice to be doing a positive podcast for a change. It's been a few weeks since I've been able to do one. Obviously, coming off the win of Real Madrid last night, which was just, well, it's an incredible win, but it's actually an incredible performance. And before that, at the weekend, we managed to get our win against Villa as well at home. We'll start with the Villa game. I think he basically went back, except for Ekatike up front, he basically went back to the starting 11 of last season. And I think that was a really smart move from Slot. All the players knew where they had to start, where they had to be. They all knew, where they wanted to be passing the ball to, where the players were going to be. It just seemed to work out really well. There was still the odd occasion where Villa got through. I think Rodgers made a couple of good runs, and I was like, oh, still not. Defence still isn't quite there. But the more we played, the more confident we got. You could almost see the confidence building in the team the longer the game went on. And after about 20-25 minutes, I was sure we'd win that game. And it was exactly the game we needed, to be honest with you, because if we'd have played another team who would have low blocked and then long balled, I honestly don't know what the team would have done. I don't know if their confidence would have been able to deal with it. But because Villa and Emery continued to try and play out from the back, that's literally how we managed to win the league last season, because not many teams played the low block against us. Last season, the trend was to press and to play out from the back, and that's why we won the league, because we play teams like that more often than not, we're going to win that game. This season, trends are changing. Set pieces, long balls, low blocks seems to be the way, and Slot has said multiple times that we still haven't found an answer for that. So playing Villa was fantastic. That's exactly what we needed at that time. But there was still cracks. And I thought, poof, I don't think we're going to beat Real Madrid. And that's me being honest. If you'd have offered me, I said this before the game, if you'd have offered me a draw, I'd have took your hands off. But I'd have wanted a good performance. So a point, but a good performance, I'd have ripped your hand off. I also wondered, between the Villa game and the Madrid game, how does Wirtz fit into this side? Because he's come to be the number 10, and Szoboszlai has done such a good job there, and work rate and defensive and everything. And I hate when Slot puts Szoboszlai at right back, because I think you really miss him in the middle of the pitch. And so with McAllister starting to look better as well, I didn't feel like you could drop one of those three. Gravenberch, McAllister, Szoboszlai needs to be our midfield for the majority of our games, I think. They know how to play with each other. They all work hard. They all do what needs to be done. So where does Wirtz fit into that? Could he have played a false nine? Well, he came on against Villa in the last 10 minutes, 15 minutes as a false nine, and it didn't really work. But then that's not a huge amount of time for him to have tried it. And then we get to the Real Madrid game, and he's played on the left, which is a similar thing to what he used to do at Leverkusen. And from watching the game, he didn't spend a huge amount of time on the left. I mean, he was helping Salah press on the right. He was picking the ball up in the centre. He was making runs all over the place. And I think, personally, that is a fantastic position for Wirtz to be playing in. Whether that will work in the Premier League, I don't know. It'll probably work against teams who want to play football, like Man City, hopefully. It will definitely work in the Champions League, because teams in the Champions League are the better teams. They all want to try and play football. I think we've got a really good chance of going far in the Champions League this year, purely because our team is set up to play teams who want to play out from the back, which suits us down to a T. The performance last night has got to be top 3 performances under Slot, in my opinion. Every single player put in an absolute shift. Every player. And it showed, because we absolutely dominated. And I mean that. I know 1-0 doesn't seem like a dominating score, but if it wasn't for Courtois, it'd have been 4-0, probably. And we absolutely taught them a lesson last night. Well, Slot did. Slot taught Alonso a lesson, and the players taught the players a lesson, because Slot's tactics were incredible. I watched an analysis video today, Panenka LFC on YouTube, very well worth a watch if you're into that kind of thing. They're fantastic. And they talk about how Mamardashvili, his long balls and long kicks were more than any other game we've played. And that's obviously a clear tactic from Slot. And basically what they think they were doing, because they play such a high press, Real Madrid, was they were trying to get as many players forward as they could, and then he would then smash it into a channel for Wirtz, Szoboszlai, Salah, Ekitike, whoever was there, to hold up, and we would then break. And it worked over and over and over again. And it was great to see. Conor Bradley, he just loves a big game, doesn't he? I mean, he was fantastic last season against Mbappe, and he absolutely took Vinicius Jr. out of the game. And I'd just like to say, they've scored something like 26 goals in all competitions this year, Real Madrid, and Vinicius Jr. and Mbappe have got 24 goal involvements between the two of them. Those two are in frightening form. Real Madrid has only lost 1 game all season, I think. Or it's like they've lost 1 in 26 games, or something stupid like that. We absolutely taught them a lesson. And Bradley was fantastic. I thought Konate was fantastic. I thought Verge was brilliant. Robertson was back to his incredible best. And long may it continue. I would love Slot to keep this 11 going forward, but I can see him bringing Gakpo back in personally. But I would stay with Wirtz if he could for the Man City game. We've got quite a long rest, haven't we? Because it's Sunday evening, I think, and we obviously played Tuesday night. So hopefully that's enough recovery time for those players to play again. You then go to midfield. Gravenberg, fantastic again. McAllister, brilliant. Shortest man on the pitch, scores a header. Why? Because he wanted it more than anybody else. Unbelievable. Szoboszlai. If he carries on playing like this, he's going to get Player of the Season. And he is a future captain, in my opinion, of Liverpool. He is everywhere. He works his socks off. He doesn't get less than like a 7 rating now. And most of the time, he's more like an 8, 8.5, 9. He started shooting more, which is great. He could have got a couple of goals last night. He probably should have got the one where Wirtz passed him the ball. But he also shot a few times outside the box. And they were lucky with where the spills from Courtois were, because, you know, they should have landed really at a player's feet. One of them should have, and they didn't. So that midfield 3 are solid. They need to keep going. Salah, again. Against Villa, I thought he was even better, actually. But last night, he was very good at holding the ball up, very good at dribbling, like the Salah of old. I think sometimes he needs to pass instead of shooting. I think he was trying to find himself a space to shoot so much. And you could see Wirtz and Szoboszlai and McAllister on the edge of the box, like asking for it. Maybe not getting it. I thought actually Ekitike was quite quiet for him last night, but he did a job. You know, he peeled players away from others. He made space. He held up the ball when he needed to. And that's his job. You know, he's very Firmino-esque. You know, it's not necessarily all about scoring goals now. You've got to be able to help your rest of your teammates out. And then we get to Wirtz. Covered more ground than any other player on the pitch, including Szoboszlai, which is a big job to do. Found himself in all sorts of space, all over the pitch, all game. Worked his socks off. He made a load of recoveries, the most amount of chances created in the game, most amount of big chances created in any game. Should have got an assist, but Szoboszlai, obviously the goal was saved. Good save, but he should have probably put it underneath him instead of trying to lob him. I just thought he really put his name on the team for me. I've always thought he was going to be a world-class player. You could tell, just the way he touches the ball, little dinks and passes, you can tell he is a fantastic player. But he just needed that bit of help. And I think that game will help him a lot. That's going to give him a load of confidence going forward. And I think maybe that's going to be the position he's going to stick with until Salah goes to AFCON. Once Salah goes to AFCON, I wonder, I might be wrong, but I wonder if they might start playing two up front with Ekitike and Isak and playing him as a 10. And then you have a midfield 3 and then a back 4. I wonder if they might start doing that, but I might be wrong. But while Salah's here, I think he'll start on the left. And I think him and Gakpo will share that position. It's a bit of a shame for Rio, because I think Rio was supposed to be the backup for Gakpo, and Wirtz was supposed to be backup probably for Szoboszlai at number 10. But Szoboszlai's been so good this season, Slot can't drop him. So maybe a shame for Rio, but you know, time will tell. Like I said, once AFCON comes, it might change everything anyway. Yeah, it was a remarkable night. It really was. And like I said, we were lucky. They were lucky. It was only 1-0. I'll talk about the pen quickly. The more I saw it, the more I didn't think it was a penalty. If it had hit his front arm, which was way out in front of him, which at the first I thought it had, then that would have been a handball. But it actually hit this hand, which was tucked inside, which by the rules of the game then isn't a handball. So I understand why they then overturned it, and gave a free kick or drop ball or whatever they did. But maybe the rules are different, but I'm pretty sure in the Premier League they can't overturn a free kick. So it should have then still been a free kick. But it definitely wasn't a penalty in my eyes. So I think VAR probably got that about right. Man City up next. If Man City play the way that we think they're going to play, then I honestly think we'll win that game. With the confidence we're taking into it and the way they're defending at the moment, I think we'll win that game. But if Pep does try and low block a little bit and long ball, Haaland is one hell of a player in some hell of a form. And I would worry that if they did decide to do that tactic, if we would win or not. So I'm really hoping they play the way that we want them to and expect them to. But Pep's already shown this season. Was it against Man United? Or was it against Arsenal? One of the games he decided they were 1-0 up, I think they were, weren't they? And they then low blocked. And no one had ever seen a Pep team do it. And I wonder if maybe he'll be looking at us going, well, if we do what City or Villa did, we're probably going to lose. Whereas if we do what Palace, Brentford, or whatever do it, then there's a good chance we'll win. Someone asked me, are we back? I think the honest answer is no. Until we've seen them play some teams who are going to play the tactics that we seem to not be able to win against. Now, we've got City on Sunday. Then it's the international break. The next game after that is Sean Dyche's Nottingham Forest. Well, if there was ever a team to low block and then long ball up to a big striker, it'll be Nottingham Forest with Sean Dyche as manager. After that, it's West Ham with Nuno. If there's ever a manager to play the low block and then a long ball, it's Nuno. So even if we beat Man City, I will be ecstatic, and it'll be a hell of a week for Liverpool. But after the international break, I think the real test is going to be those two games. If we lose to Nottingham Forest, I worry, because then I think all the confidence that we've built over these last 3 games will just be shattered. Slot needs to figure a way of winning those games. For me, it's quite straightforward. But obviously, I'm not a manager, I'm not a coach, I'm not even a tactician. I'm just a bloke who enjoys watching football and analysis videos. But for me, they need to keep the back four they've got, don't go too gung-ho, and don't have too much of a high line. Slot said it was either in his press conference or an interview after the game, he said that he didn't want to do a mid-block, which I think is what we've been doing wrong with these teams. So a high press is when the whole team presses really high and our centre-backs are almost on the halfway line. As long as the press is going well, that works perfectly. But as soon as that press is broken, that high line then gets smashed because a fast runner will go through and Virgil van Dijk and Konate aren't quick enough now to catch them. A mid-block is where they stand sort of 10 feet away from the halfway line and try and they don't press as hard. But if you've got quick strikers, they can get in behind very, very quickly, and there's a big gap between you and your goalkeeper that they can exploit. And then a low block is obvious. You're really far back. There's barely any gap between you and your goalie, so it's hard for them to get in behind. He said in an interview yesterday that they would not do a mid-block against Vinicius Junior and Mbappe because of how fast they were. I wonder whether we will see Liverpool almost play a lowish block more often now against those teams. And then they will expect the midfield and the strikers, or the forwards, to do more work in trying to get the ball forward. I personally wouldn't mind that at all. I think the gap between the goalies and the defenders needs to be tightened up. And I also think they need to give themselves as much time to win these balls as they can. And if that means sitting further back in the pitch, then great. That's what they need to do. I think Slot knows that as well from, reading between the lines. And I think that's what we'll probably see against Nottingham Forest. But those 2 games after the international break are the real test. Now, if we win both of those, who knows? I mean, if we beat Man City, we go second in the league. We're still quite a way away from Arsenal. Arsenal aren't going to go unbeaten all season. No way. So, well, we've already beaten them. But they won't continue to keep winning like they are, in my opinion. So there are going to be opportunities to catch them. But it's those games that we need to be winning to catch them. Yeah. Wow. What a week. And it's crazy, isn't it, that last season we had Villa, Real Madrid, Man City in that order. And everyone was saying Slot's never going to beat Real Madrid, then Slot's never going to win against Man City. And that week we won all 3 games. And now we've played Villa, Real Madrid, and we've got Man City. And currently we've won 2 of them. So it's almost like it's written in the stars. I'm not going to talk about the booing and Trent. It doesn't really... I've always been pretty open about how I don't agree with the booing. But I've been speaking to some people about it, and actually been speaking to some local people about it. And I'm starting to understand why or how some people feel about it and why they would boo. I also think that there's some booing going on just to help out our team and try to set a narrative a little bit. Personally, I wouldn't be booing. I also wouldn't be applauding. I'd just ignore him now. To me, he just isn't a Liverpool player. And that's how I ended it and leave it. So that's where I'm going to talk. I don't talk about him anymore, really. I just wanted to make that clear. And that's it. Big weekend coming up. I'm actually away with some mates for the weekend. Go tomorrow. So my videos might be a bit up and down on TikTok, but I'll do my best to carry on doing what I'm doing. If you like these podcasts, please subscribe, please comment. I'd love to see them. Message me on TikTok if you want. I'm happy to hear it wherever. It's just nice to know that people are enjoying the content. So have a lovely evening. Come on, you Reds.